I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we're gathered and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge Leonie Walsh, the keynote speaker for the conference earlier on, and Victoria's lead scientist, Professor Steve Dinham, ReMSTEP Project Director, Chair of Teacher Education and Director of Learning and Teaching at the University of Melbourne, and Dr. David Hoxley from La Trobe University, who's our MC and also one of the ReMSTEP chief investigators. I'm really pleased to be here today to have the opportunity to speak to you about the Victorian Government's education state reform agenda and the connections between what we're trying to do in government with the work of ReMSTEP, and hopefully giving you a bit of confidence in terms of the government's focus and the importance of STEM. In particular, I'd like to highlight the ambitious targets we've set for student achievement in science and mathematics subjects across Victorian schools. But firstly, I'd like to thank the ReMSTEP project team for organising this terrific event and for inviting me here today. This conference is a wonderful opportunity to showcase the outstanding work that is being achieved in teacher education through active collaboration across faculties, universities, and our specialist maths and science centres. As you may be aware, the government has set an ambitious agenda to make Victoria the education state. The education state is about creating a system where every child gets the education they need for their future. Our vision is of a cohesive learning and development system that will provide the very best educational opportunities to all Victorians, regardless of their background, regardless of their personal circumstances, regardless of where they're from early childhood settings through our schools and into skills and training. It's true to say that our economic strength in Victoria is in our people and has been since the days post the gold rush. We don't have the luxury of massive resources in our ground. It's the investment that we make in our people, particularly our young people, that is important. We must ensure that all Victorians are achieving their best, wherever and whoever they are, in order to compete and thrive in an increasingly connected, innovative, and technology-driven world. We must make that investment in education and skills. Let me talk about the economy and industry for a moment. I know this is one of the themes of Leonie. Victoria, like other states and territories in Australia, is shifting. We're shifting from an old industrial-based economy to a services and knowledge-based economy. But it's not enough to acknowledge the transition that we're in as a state and as a nation. We need to collectively have the answer as to where we're transitioning to, what we are transitioning to. In recognition of this, our government has developed the $200 million Future Industries Fund to support investment in 6 key sectors and drive Victoria's economic growth. So these are the sectors that we already have some comparative and competitive advantages in, but the potential for growth is extraordinary. So those sectors of medical technology and pharmaceuticals, new energy technology, food and fibre, transport, defence and construction technology, international education and professional services. And there's a reason that people like Leonie Walsh, here today, Victoria's lead scientist, has been appointed to the Future Industries Ministerial Advisory Council to guide the investment the government make, to guide the focus of government into those sectors of our economy. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics underpin, in some way or other, every single one of those sectors that we've identified. The breadth of these future industries speak to the diverse skills and expertise required of their future employees, which is in turn linked to our critical focus on STEM education. It is our future, and I try to instil that not just as the Minister for Education, but in my little kids. Josh, who's 4, he now has the answer down pat, so he's obsessed with helicopters. And I say to Josh, what do you need to do at school if you want to fly a helicopter? And he says straight away, maths and science, Dad. Sophie, 8, she loves animals and plants. She wants to be a biologist, and she's got the answer too. Ensuring students are provided with the highest quality maths and science education will not only produce highly skilled and technology literate graduates, it will also ensure that we're equipping our students with the mobility and capacity to work in and across jobs outside of traditional maths and science occupations, indeed in the very jobs of our future industries. And developing those skills, not just in maths and science, but also in those broader skills, collaboration and problem solving and creativity and critical thinking. So this is the reason why STEM education is a major focus of the government. The new education state targets for achievement in science and maths will see us focus our efforts on building the knowledge, skills and attributes that matter most to parents, students, employers and our society as a whole. Our target in mathematics is for 25% more Year 5 students to reach the highest levels of academic achievement in maths over the next 5 years. Our 10-year target for mathematics achievement is for 25% more Year 9 students performing at the highest levels. For science, we want to see 33% more 15-year-olds reaching the highest level of achievement in scientific literacy over the next 10 years. These are ambitious targets, but some commentators have said, you know, some of these targets are pie in the sky. But my response is, if we want to set the bar, you don't set mediocre targets, you don't not set targets, we set ambitious targets that with a lot of hard work we can achieve. And we know the most important thing to do to get there. We know that the most important thing to improve education outcomes for Victoria's students is to improve the quality of the teaching in every classroom. Not the teachers, the quality of the teaching in every classroom. We cannot achieve these ambitious student outcome targets without the world's best science and maths teachers. But there are a number of persistent challenges in science, technology, engineering and mathematics teaching and learning. Enrolments in secondary mathematics teacher education has seen little growth since 2010 and may not be sufficient to meet demand over the next 5 years. We also know that there is currently a shortage of high-quality maths and science teachers, particularly in regional, rural and low SES schools. We're also seeing a drop in student achievement in the middle years of schooling and fewer Victorian students performing in the top band than in comparable jurisdictions. We've got a good system, a good education system in Victoria, one we should be proud of. But it is a fact that we have fewer students at the highest academic levels, highest achievement levels, than other comparable jurisdictions. In order to address these persistent challenges, the Victorian Government has recently allocated funding for a number of initiatives that will complement current activities, including ReMSTEP, and make a real difference to STEM education, STEM teaching and learning in Victoria into the future. Firstly, we're investing over $21 million over the next 3 years to support all government school teachers to implement the new Victorian curriculum. This includes the new Digital Technologies curriculum, which will commence in Victorian schools from 2016, with full implementation expected in all Victorian schools by 2017. Secondly, we're investing $27 million over 5 years in the Primary Mathematics and Science Specialists Initiative. Under this program, 2 existing teachers in 100 schools will each receive 2 years of training and support to become subject area specialists in maths and science. The program will target disadvantaged schools, including low socioeconomic status, rural and regional schools, as well as schools with low achievement in maths and science. The primary mathematics and science specialists will complete 20 days of professional learning over 2 years. They'll split their time between classroom teaching and providing professional learning and support to the other teachers within their schools. The Primary Mathematics and Science Specialist program will be supported by a number of new STEM initiatives to ensure our kids are equipped with the skills that industries will want and abilities employers will expect. A new secondary STEM Catalyst program will train 60 teachers across 30 secondary schools to lead, encourage and mentor classroom teachers in high-impact science, technology, engineering and maths lessons in years 7 and 8, including the use of digital technologies. The Victorian Government has also committed $125 million to establish 10 tech schools across the state, delivering programs for students across years 7 to 12 to build their technological skills and capabilities that are required by industry and can contribute to the growth of Victoria's economy. And we'll have a bit more to say about the progress of our tech schools over the coming weeks and months. We're also continuing to support Victoria's 6 fantastic science and mathematics specialist centres. These centres engage students and teachers across the state in contemporary science and mathematics teaching and learning activities in partnerships with universities and industry. The centres provide priority access to disadvantaged and rural and regional schools and deliver programs to tens of thousands of school children every year. And I know that many of you have had the opportunity to work with these centres and see firsthand the impact that experiential and experimental learning has on students of all ages. In May this year, I launched the 71st Education Week at one of these excellent centres, Quantum Victoria. As part of this event, I launched Quantum Victoria's 3D Printer Car Challenge, where Victorian students had the opportunity to design and race their own 3D printed car. It was a fantastic and inspiring event and a great way to engage students in experiential science and technology learning, engaging students in the wonderment of learning, the wonderment of science and mathematics. Another great initiative that is strengthening our initial teacher education, or ITE programs, and that's the Teaching Academies of Professional Practice. Like ReMSTEP, the Teaching Academies are collaborative ventures that seek to improve the quality of the education experience for Victoria's ITE students. The 12 Teaching Academies are partnerships of a cluster of schools with one or more universities. Through these partnerships, Teaching Academies focus on improving the quality of ITE by linking theory and practice in innovative ways. The 12 Teaching Academies involve schools from rural, regional and metropolitan areas across Victoria and include primary, secondary, specialist, government, Catholic and independent school settings. And I see strong links between the goals of ReMSTEP and the Teaching Academies, and I encourage ReMSTEP stakeholders to explore ways of working with the Teaching Academies into the future. The Victorian Government and ReMSTEP are both addressing the need to ensure we have highly skilled STEM teachers through our initiatives and our programs. I want to commend ReMSTEP for the excellent work that you're doing in a number of different ventures in supporting our mutual goal through your collaborative network by supplying a range of high quality resources and training for STEM teachers. My hope is that these partnerships continue to drive major improvements in the quality of mathematics and science learning and teaching. The other thing to mention as I close is that there's a lot happening in the space of STEM and a lot of acknowledgement within our schools, within our universities, within our TAFEs, within industry of the importance of STEM. And there's a lot of fantastic things happening, but not a lot of cohesion. Not a lot of cohesion. And one of the tasks, we made the Education State announcements in the last week of Term 3 back in September. So we announced a significant boost in funding for our schools. We announced all of those targets that I mentioned. We announced the Victorian curriculum, the additional regional support for our schools, including the curriculum support. But what I've asked the department to do now is to work with all of our stakeholders, our universities, our schools, ReMSTEP, to bring all of this STEM activity together, because collectively we need to develop a cohesive and collaborative STEM strategy for Victoria. So that's an important piece of work over the next few months. By working together in these innovative and expanding ways, I'm confident that we'll realise our vision of Victoria as the education state. Thank you very much for having me at your conference, and best wishes for your remaining time.